Hey there, Griff Hamlin here from Blues Guitar Unleashed. Welcome, thanks for joining me. In today's video, I have another in the, what I'm gonna call new wave of British heavy metal style licks. In this case, it's a Tony Iommi style lick. And there's a cool thing that's gonna happen here, and this is really common in, I'll say, sort of all the 70s and even mostly 80s, really right up until the early 1990s is when things tended to get more chromatic. But a lot of that stuff from the 70s and 80s is remarkably blues based, but they also used a lot of modes, which what we would call diatonic scales, the natural minor or the traditional, diatonic major scale, the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So this lick, like many of them, mixes the two sounds. It's a really cool idea. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off, we're in E. We just have an E power chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, and a D power chord. And it just goes back and forth. If you're familiar with War Pigs by Black Sabbath, this is kind of along those lines. That's the groove we're working with here, right? So we're gonna start off, and that's actually box 5. And that's a really unusual place for us to be. You would expect box 1 in E minor, but in this case, we're gonna be box 5 in E minor. So right away, something new, probably. So we have the 10th fret on the first string and the 12th fret on the second string. That's gonna be the and of 4. And 1. And I'm gonna just hammer on from the D to the E at the 10 and the 12th fret on the first string. 1 and strike it again. Okay, so let's do just that little, let me turn this down a little bit so I can talk over it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. We're gonna do it again. And 3 and 4 and I'm gonna do one more hammer on before I go up. Okay, let's put that together again. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So notice it's it's only a handful of notes. We kind of repeat the same thing. It's really helpful if you can notice that. As far as picking goes, I do down, up, down. You might prefer up, up, down. I don't know. It could be really whatever you want. I would not beat yourself up over that too much. We have enough hammer-ons and pull-offs here that I think you'll be just fine. You wouldn't want to do like all downs or all ups, but just alternate in whatever way feels comfortable. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now, we're gonna slide up a whole step. So my third finger's now on the 14th fret. And I'm now thinking about the E Aeolian scale, or the E natural minor scale, which starting from up here, G, F sharp, E, so 15, 14, 12, 15, 13, 12, 14, 12, 11, 14, 12, 15, 14, 12, 15, 14, 12. In case you don't already know that pattern and you want to learn it. I would recommend starting and ending on the E. If you start and end on the G, it's actually a G major scale. So they are what we call relative. They have the same notes. But let's not get carried away. You can play this quite comfortably even if you don't know that pattern. So I'm gonna pull off from 14 to 12, down to 15, back to 12. 1 and, so just try that. 1 and 1 and 1 and. Then we're gonna have 15, 13, 12, notice I pull off 14. 2 and 2 and 2, and then we'll put those together. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3. So that's 12 down to the 3rd string, 14, 12, slide down to 11. 3 and 3 and 3 and we'll add that in. 1 and 2 and 3 and again. 1 and 2 and 3 and just get it so that it's finger memory. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so pull off from the 12 to 11 down to the 12th fret on the 4th string, down to the 14th fret on the 5th string. We're going to do a little arpeggio or leapfrogging. Okay, so if we put this all together, and that's 4 and 4 and 4 and again, just keeping it even. So let's put the whole thing together nice and slow. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and all right, again. 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and if you can get that memorized, I can pretty well promise you'll be able to speed it up. 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and from there you could go wherever you want. That doesn't necessarily have to be the end of the lick. Keep in mind that when you get here, you're right there in the box 1 of the E minor pentatonic scale. So if you wanted to keep going, you could very comfortably do that. Now, again, would this work in, say, a blues context? It would if it's a straight feel, okay? That's not as prevalent in the blues, but it definitely does happen. You have straight feel stuff, but we also have a lot of triplet-based stuff in blues. So it's probably is going to be more of a strictly rock, strictly hard rock, heavy metal, whatever you want to call it, context. But it's a really, really great lick. Let me play it for you a couple of times. I'll say up to speed, just so you could try it along with me. Feel like you're getting it under your fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. Again, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3. It's a really, really great lick. I'm a huge Tony Iommi fan. I was always a really big Black Sabbath fan, and of course Ozzy, afterwards. But I think this is a really useful lick for, again, seeing that combination of the pentatonic box, which is box 5, and we don't use that a lot, so that's also really cool. Plus, having the Aeolian or natural minor scale right next to it is really cool. So dig on this lick. Try it out for yourself, and I will see you in the next video. Again, I'm Griff Hamlin from Blues Guitar Unleashed. I didn't mention it in my last video for some reason, but of course, if you have guitar playing friends that would dig this video, I hope you will share it with them. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.